And we are live. Today, I want to welcome you to a very special show. It is Innovate and Captivate, enhancing the guest engagement in attractions. I'm your host, Sondra Shannon, CEO of Gatemaster Technology. And today, I have a guest on the show that I'm very excited to talk to, Barry Zelickson, the founder of Next Exit Entertainment and Fun Across America. And today we're going to delve into the evolution of experiential entertainment, the latest marketing trends for attractions, strategies for hospitality excellence, and the integration of cutting edge technology and creating a holistic guest experience. So whether you are tuned in live here on LinkedIn or you are catching this on replay, we are replaying to YouTube, all of the major podcast platforms. I want to thank you for joining us. And if you are listening to this on replay, just hashtag replay so we know you were here. I have a question for you before we get started. So, a question for the audience today. What aspects of your current guest experience do you think could benefit the most from integrating new technology and immersive experiences? And if you are watching this, I would love to hear and see your thoughts in the comments. And without further ado, because I want this guy on the stage, let's welcome Barry Zelickson to the stage. Barry, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Sandra. Very happy to be here.
Thank you for being here. Like I said, in kind of our a little bit of a chat that we had before we went live here today, I'm very excited to talk to you, especially this when I saw that you were going to be on the schedule. It makes me so happy to talk to other people, one, that are truly living the life of people who love and are passionate about the work that we do or the work that attractions do and what they're doing for the world. And I'm just hoping, because I think you could probably do it best, that you would give our audience today just a little bit of background, who you are and what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. A little background, I guess. I got into the attraction industry, I think back in '95. I opened up a Halloween theme park, and I mean, again, it wasn't like I was a huge Halloween person. The fascination of trying to build entertainment and bring people in and just seemed like such a fun opportunity. Not to mention for Halloween, it was a 1 month operation. So, I mean, if you can do that and have fun at
Yeah.
it, obviously it's a lot more involved when you do it, and ran it for 7 years and just had a great time, and then had an opportunity to actually go into the corporate world. One of my sponsors provided an opportunity that I couldn't pass up, and so left the industry for quite a while, but stayed engaged, even continued to head to our trade show IAPA, and staying on top of things going on. And then the marketing element up for the company I worked with went away, and so I was just missing that component. So decided to open up an entertainment center, and that was in back in, I think, 2011, and started that up. I think opened the doors in 2013, and again ran that till I sold it in 2020. And again, just so many great people and so much fun, building something from scratch, bringing it to life. And then once I sold it, it's like, okay, so what's next? What's the next thing? And so created this company, and through that started Fun Across America. And really, the idea was, similar to diners, drive-ins, and dives. How there were so many entertainment centers around the country. How can we go out there and just, build a travelogue and help show, take advantage of this industry and show what's out there, and just, let people see all the fun things that are around this country. And again, like you said, pursuing a passion, be able to travel around and just visit entertainment centers, and the people and the passion behind everyone who's doing this has just been so fun and rewarding. And we continue. In fact, we're leaving again to head out on Sunday for another round of filming different locations, and very excited to be able to do that, and honored that I can.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched a few of the episodes for sure. Nate does a great job hosting. And and I was going to ask what inspired that, but you jumped right into that kind of what inspired it. But for me, having in the position that we are, the way that Gatemaster, we serve attractions, one of the biggest things that I see as a hurdle to them, that I really appreciate what you guys are doing, is beating obscurity, right? Getting known
Yep.
as an attraction, visiting these small attractions that are in states maybe people aren't thinking about visiting, but they're doing amazing things, right? Like I feel so privileged to work with so many of these organizations that, you know, aren't they're not the go-to that people think of, but the work that you guys are doing are allowing these attractions to showcase who they are and what they're doing, so we can start driving traffic to them.
Well, again, I think it's also to be able to highlight, what these creative people bring to life and be able to deliver on day in and day out. I mean, because you're in the back end. This operation, any operation, is not easy. I mean, there are so many components to make a successful facility, and the person that's driving it, or the team that's driving it, and the creativity. Even if, like I said, there's a lot of people using similar attractions that we go to, but every time it's a different experience because the way they bring it to life. And I think that's, it doesn't matter, where you go or what you do. You can feel that excitement when they're talking about what they do. And again, from the guests that come, and the fact that it's a growing industry, and people keep expanding and coming up with new ideas, which is exciting. Obviously, if we can keep this going, we've got a lot of places to go, and a lot of places to see.
Yeah, and I love what you mentioned there, because I think the difference is the people, right?
Yep.
The people, the creativity, the unique perspectives that so many of us in the industry, so many of these operators have. I don't know if you know this about me, but I was an operator as well.
Yes,
That's what
yes,
got
I,
me.
I do
Yeah,
exactly, and I mean you can see that in what you put out every day. I mean, again, I think you have the same enthusiasm that I have. I mean, you're not just out there working in it; you're out there enjoying it too. I mean, I've seen you with your kids and going around. I mean, it's part of your life, and I think that's how it's felt for me.
yeah, it's part of you're right. It's a lifestyle to some
Yep.
degree when you join. I always say, if you're an attractions person, you're always an attractions person, because I don't think that you naturally gravitate to hospitality unless it's something that you're really passionate about. I mean, some people do, but I think most of us started with a vision or a want to help other people create memories. I know for me, some of the best memories I have growing up were the sacrifices that my parents made to take us to these
Yep.
different attractions. And I recognize that for many people out there, the guests that we serve, there are families or people who are making sacrifices so that they can attend these attractions, but also, sometimes it's an incredible investment for a family. And this is why we just want to continue to help attraction. I know that you probably share the sentiment. Help attractions continue to grow and thrive and succeed at what they're doing. And the biggest thing that they're doing is providing, like I said earlier when we were chatting, quality life experiences that I think people need to have. This gives people something to look forward to and something to look back on throughout
Well,
all of their
and I think
lives.
even more so now, I mean, as the world has shifted, and people aren't in offices anymore, and a lot of people working out of their homes, they don't have that interaction, certainly not the daily interaction that we used to. And I mean, I think, again, our industry is key for bringing people together. You can't do it virtually. You have to come in, you have to interact, and whether it's with a family, whether it's with, a group of friends, or even a corporate outing, I think those are key things that keep our industry thriving.
I think so too. I love that. Well, I have a couple of questions that I want to ask of you, if that's okay, if we can jump into some questions.
You bet.
One of the things that you've mentioned to me is that, a lot of the industry, the attractions industry, is shifting towards experimental entertainment. And I'm curious if you can elaborate on that and what it means and why it's important.
I think the experiential entertainment element is simply, rather than just being a participant in an activity, you want to interact with it. I'll take it to something as simple. If you go to a store and buy a sandwich, you get a sandwich. If you go to a Subway, you're walking down a line and you're making that sandwich. So you've been part of the process. Well, you're much more likely to be engaged and enjoy that final process if you've been involved in it. And so, I
Yeah.
mean, I think that you're going to see that same thing in our world. I mean, as you said, as costs go up, and there's so much more available to you at the home, whether it's at home on TV, whether it's in your hand on your on your phone. There's just a lot of more. You've got so much more entertainment in front of you, that the experiences and stuff to get you engaged and involved into an environment that experiential entertainment just becomes more important because it brings you, and that can be as simple as an escape room, where you're immersed in a particular element. It could be VR where you're putting on a headset and getting involved. It could be anything up to some very, full experience, environments that you walk into that you become part of. There's a lot of different ways to engage in that, but it's just making you more part of the actual entertainment experience itself. And again, whether it's sensory or storytelling or whatever, the interactivity and getting involved is, I think, just becoming, again, a big component of what people are looking for when they go out.
Yeah. Is there any examples that, I mean, you mentioned escape rooms. I know, like for me, laser tag. I mean, I still love laser tag. It was where I got my
As
start,
I
and
understand, it's
I
great.
got started doing it because I loved playing it, and I never felt like any one game was the same. No, no two games were the same every time because you're in it with different people and the experience is different. But I know that's one example. I'm sure escape rooms are very similar. I'm sure it's the
And
people.
there are so many levels of it. But I mean, if you want to go to the full level, you could take Meow Wolf. I mean, if you want a full
Yeah,
experiential, I mean, and that even within their realm, which is, for those aren't aware, it's a full, you know, very large experience they have in several locations, but it's designed by artists. It's put together where you could walk in just as an art gallery and be immersed in the art experience, or it's interactive. There are many elements to it that you have to interact with to get to each new experience within the facility. And if you take it to the third level, they've got a whole storytelling, basically, engagement element where you have to go through and figure out clues to find a solution to a story that they've outlined at all of their locations, and they're all different. And I mean, if that's, I mean, I guess taking to the full level of
yeah.
an experiential, interactive experience.
Well, I can't remember if it was this one here in Denver or the one, the Mart, or what's the
Area over in
it,
Area 15.
area
Yeah,
15.
their
But one
market.
of them has the phone
Yep.
where you pick it up and then you're interacting with other people, which
Yeah.
is so cool, right?
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
I
and
think that's,
they've done, and again, so many different places have been doing various different things. Wink World, which is another one that's in Area 15, also the Mall of America, they've got another visual experience gone by room. But I mean, there's even, outside of VR with headsets, there's Motion or Arcade Arena where you're going in and you don't even have to put anything on. You're walking in a room and you're part, you're becoming part of a game. So you're not just playing a game, you're becoming part of it. And I think though there's just more of that available now that gets you more engaged, and again, because of that, you get a better experience.
yeah, you get a better experience and you get a different experience every time you visit, right? So
Exactly.
there's reason to keep coming back for more and keep seeing, I actually, have been to the Meow Wolf here in Denver. I love that example.
Yep.
And I can tell you, you could probably go there 10 times and still not figure it all out.
Yeah.
Probably
Without those.
100 times. And you know what? And you know what? That is kind of I've been going I grew up in Southern California. So going to Disneyland was
Hmm.
a big part of what we did as a family. My mother actually was a tour guide for exchange students,
Wow.
so her boss used to let her bring us with her, so we got to go quite a lot. And I can say, as many times as I've been to Disneyland, I don't think there's books written on this. There's so much that you can do,
Right.
and I think this is pretty wise advice for attractions if they figure out how to create a new immersive experience out of the experience that they have.
Right.
We can also create
Well,
repeat
and
visits,
and I think
a
what's
demand
unique
for it.
to me, well, too, again, it's that multi-level. You can be a person that's just go in and spend an hour or two, or you can, take
Yeah,
it to each level and you could spend a day in there. I mean, depending on what level of an involvement you want with what the experience they created. And again, I find that fascinating. I think, again, it's just the creativity of people having to take things to new levels.
yeah, I agree. I think that's great. I love the idea of the immersive experiences that attractions have. I with IAPA last year, we got to go to the Mario World
Yeah.
at Universal, and riding that ride, I actually brought the kids back to ride it because I knew they would love it. Um, but having the headset on, playing the game,
Yeah.
all of the things, it's just, again, like I could probably ride that ride 100 times and never even scratch the surface of all that it
And
offers.
and I think it's interesting. I mean, you could take it to, like you said, the Universal, or I mean, Harry Potter, where they just created the whole. I mean, live set. You're walking in there. That's not even putting a headset. You're there in that world to the level of, technology has allowed, smaller locations to do just amazing things, and still
Yes.
immerse somebody without obviously having the universal Disney budgets to create a whole a
Sure.
whole world around you. So I mean, again, I think it's amazing. I think that's the beauty of where the industry is going. There's just technology isn't, it does create new attractions and things too, but it also creates the opportunity to take things and do them into smaller spaces and create unique experiences that people hadn't seen before.
Yeah, and that's actually what I really love about the Fun Across America. From what I've observed, that you are showcasing these middle of America parks, like you said, the driver diners and or what's
Yeah,
the experience that you're giving people.
yeah,
You're visiting parks in middle of America that are doing amazing things, equal to, in my opinion, they just don't have maybe the name that Disney has or the marketing and showcasing that. And I think that's really cool. But that actually brings me to my next topic, which is, marketing trends and for attractions. And I'm curious what you see being some of the latest trends in marketing and how attractions can best promote themselves.
well, I mean, I think, I don't know that any of the the marketing elements have changed other than the way that you can, the technology there to help you do it better. I mean, it'll always be driven by data and personalization and how you can integrate that with the systems you have, the CRM systems to reach out and recontact, your guests that have been there before and give them reasons to come back. I mean, clearly, between mobile ticketing, which you certainly know more about, and membership and loyalty programs and are also are again long-standing things out there, and the technology has allowed better ways to be able to manage that and handle that. And then, of course, obviously, you've got the social between whether it's, content marketing and creating blogs and articles that can be, shared and picked up, or working with local influencers, and, in user-driven content. Those things are, the standards, I think, which you'll see today to help build your business. But I mean, truly, and this goes back to basics. The best way in the, and the best thing is give people a great experience, and they're going to share it. And I think a perfect example, we talk about technology. We went to a location called Beat the Bomb, and again, it's like an escape room. You go from room to room and you collect time based on these games you're playing to the last room where you have to disarm a bomb in a certain period of time. Well, if you don't disarm it at the end, and they have different versions, but one of them you get blasted with paint, and another one you get, I think, again, different types of slimed, I think is another, but there are different happens that happen if you don't. And then instantly, once that happens, you get sent a video of you getting hit by paint and the finished thing, ready to go with their name, ready to send out to all your friends. I mean, I anyone who's seen that, that's the immediate thing you're going to do, because they've created such a simple way for you to capture a moment and send it on to your friends and get people excited to go out and try it. I mean, it's things like that to me that technology has taken what you would want to do and make it easier for people to share and get it out there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I love that. I love that they've made that so easy. And with regards to and it's interesting because I was listening to a podcast today while I was getting ready this morning, and I can't remember his name. Maybe I'll post that in the chat later. But he was saying that if a business, now he wasn't focused on attractions, but he was saying that if a business or an individual created content every day for a year, they would never have to worry about their patrons finding them, right? And so what a cool way to do that. I
Yeah,
mean, because every person then can reshare that,
right.
every visitor
Well,
is
and
creating
I
content.
think that's the balance too. I mean, some people get carried away and do put out a little too much content, and people then tend to tone it out. So yeah, it still has to be, value added and along those lines. But like I said, when other people are sharing, you can't have anything better than someone else sharing
Yes.
about you. That's the easiest and best way to drive interest.
Yeah. Oh, I think you're definitely right. I mean, there is plenty of negativity that I
Yeah,
think people are oversharing for sure.
yeah.
And that's actually why I love this industry, because I feel like in most cases, yes, there are challenges with running an attraction. We
Well,
support hundreds of water parks right now, and I have to tell my team all the time they're opening, and not just are they worried about the ticketing system, but they got to make sure all the toilets work.
yeah.
Just all
Well,
the
it's just a rare industry. I mean, because there's a lot of individual silos of business, from event businesses, from food
yeah.
and beverage business to the actual operation and attraction business. I mean, it's much more complicated. I think people understand. And in the end of the day, you're also staffed by a number of different people that they're the ones that are interacting with your guests on a daily basis. And, just with anybody, there's going to be issues. There is no way to avoid issues. So not only do you have to be ready, to handle and operate your facility, but you also have to be ready for when things go wrong. And I mean,
Yeah.
people are choosing where they're going based on whatever you've sold them, whether they've seen it online or that someone shared it. They're going there because they're looking forward to that experience. And it could be, whether it's mini golf, whether it's laser tag, whether it's whatever it is, they're going there. So they're excited for that experience. So it's up to you to make sure that you keep that level of excitement there and not take it away. And that, again, you might have the best attraction in the world, but if they're greeted by someone who's not excited and not happy to
Yes.
be there, it's going to take away everything you built so hard, to make happen. And I think people sometimes, and I hate to say it because we've been to locations where that's the case, where again, you can take a great experience and just by the people that are there, turn that around to not a great experience, even though the event itself might have been a lot of fun. And again, I don't, I think sometimes people overlook that opportunity to train their team to the level of what they need to be. And also, I think even step back and whether it's themselves or a secret shopper, go in and visit your place as a guest because it's too easy to get caught up in the day-to-day operation and not pay attention to what's happening because people, they get into a rhythm and, then all of a sudden it's not exciting and not fun and they lose that enthusiasm. And you have to find ways to keep that going because it's not just the entertainment in the building. It's also, the team that's presenting that entertainment that has a big impact on the guests coming through the door.
Yeah. What do you think? Because we're jumping into hospitality, and I do think that I think that's probably the biggest thing of all, right? Because you're right, you can have an amazing experience. In fact, one of my colleagues went to visit an attraction with some other people in the industry, and not only was the staff rude, but one of the guys said that the recorded, reminders were
Yeah.
rude, right?
Well, they were keeping a theme going, I guess.
I guess, but at the same time, like they all seemed a little bit like, hey, that's not how this is supposed to be, right?
Right.
Like because this is not who we are as an industry, and I think that was the thing. But my question for you, because we don't, people don't, I'm sure these attractions don't want that to be what people
No,
are
absolutely
reminded
not.
of. And so, with regards to attractions, how can they improve hospitality and guest satisfaction from your perspective? I mean, both as an operator and then what you're doing today and visiting all these
I,
attractions.
I just think it's important training. I mean, there's just no way about it. Training is the key, and
Yeah.
it's not just handing over a training manual for someone to read it. You've got to, I mean, I've seen it done a lot of ways from obviously, people videoing, the activities that they can share and people can watch to videoing the people doing it so they can show back and replay what they've did to show how they can improve what they're doing. Or now, I think one of the locations we just visited was this REM 5 VR experience. They're actually doing VR training where you can actually put on a headset and do the activity live that they've recorded, which is fascinating. It's certainly a unique way to utilize that tool. But I mean, again, it's teaching the tools in the trade without having to, if you don't have someone, to get them up and ready before they go and out there in the real world to work it. But again, at the end of the day, there's no real way than other than live working on any attraction or event to understand how to do it. And it's just repetition. You
Yeah.
got to keep going, and then you have to retrain. I mean, if you don't keep doing those, if habits will form and it won't improve. And I think those things are key to just keep an operation at top notch.
Well, and if I could add to that, I had Mary Tanous on the show last week, and we were talking just about kind of the the process of hiring, right? And
Yep.
that we got to hire for attitude, right? We got to find the people who love the work that we're doing and the experiences that we're providing.
You can't change attitude. I mean,
Yes,
that
right.
you can train somebody on a lot of things, but you just can't change attitude. That's pretty difficult to do.
Yeah. And so, would you say that the staff training plays a critical role in delivering the hospitality experience?
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. You've got millions of dollars invested in whatever you're doing, and the first person is whoever you put behind that desk is the first interaction they're having with your business. I mean, other than
Yeah.
hopefully you've done a great job on your website, but that can make or break what that is. And again, that's a stressful position. whether people coming in that, they've never been to your place before, and they're trying to learn about it. And the best way to set yourself up for success is to set them up for success, and make sure you're providing them the tools they need to be successful, and the training, so that they feel confident in what they're talking to your guests about.
Yeah. And I think when you're talking about training, I mean, we're talking about processes that are
Yep.
duplicatable, that continue, that every
Right.
employee is doing, so the customer kind of has an idea of what to
Well,
expect.
and that's where the tools come in. I mean, the more you can make sure they have the tools, whether it's the POS system, or whether it's, the mobile ticketing systems, going to make that, divide the act, the things, or the right phone answering systems and question answers that make their life easier.
Yeah.
Everything you do to make that, process simpler, where they can more relate to their guests rather than work out other issues, is going to make it a better experience for the guest and for your team.
Yeah, and I appreciate you bringing up technology, because that's something that obviously we love to explore here at Gatemaster.
Uh,
Because I do agree with you. I think that, like, your technology strategy has to be well thought out, just like the training of your employees. Because in some ways, it is a function of your team.
right.
Technology is becoming like
Right.
a team member.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you
Yeah,
aren't set up well on your website, or if you're trying to get someone to purchase something online and that's not easily done, or you're not keeping it up to date, that's going to have a very first impression on your business. And
yeah.
I mean, if you go around and obviously we look at a lot of websites when we come into a town, and it's amazing how many have done nothing with their sites. And I mean, that's their first impression, next, outside of the walking in the building. And you would think that would be just a no-brainer to start with, but it doesn't appear to be the case in a lot of places.
And that's interesting to me, because one of the statistics that we see here with the revenue, because we could, with the data that we've collected over the years, is that when somebody improves their site and adds, a well thought out technology strategy for their customers to book parties, be it buy tickets, or parking, whatever it is. But if you just implement that for the first time, we see an automatic increase of
Oh,
like 40% revenue. It's
yeah.
crazy
I
from the
mean,
online sales.
I mean, I think I think everybody's used this phrase in one way or another, but the more you can measure, the more you can manage. I mean, the bottom
Yes.
line is, the more you can create, where you can get data, the better you're going to be, because you're going to be able to see what's really happening within your facility, and that's extremely important, and especially in today's environment.
Well, in the old days, I used to, when I first started with Gatemaster, I was on the implementation team, so I had to travel to all of these attractions, which I think reinforced my love for this. Because, like you guys, I spent 10 years on the road visiting hundreds
Yeah.
of parks. I think we determined it was like 800 parks that I had
Wow.
gone to over the
We
years.
got a ways to go to catch up to you.
Well, we were putting in ticketing systems,
Yeah.
and in those days, we were replacing all completely manual processes. So it was, back then I was teaching people how to use
Oh yeah, I'm
computers. It
sure.
was just such a different experience than what's happening today. But what I think was interesting is that in almost every case, what made or break the success often was the strategy behind it, the people, right? I mean, I remember one time I had to, I was opening a museum, and they had gone from pen and paper to the system, and they had a big line. It was their opening day because they had just opened the planetarium, and they said to me, the manager comes in and he goes, "Let's go back to paper." And I'm like, I did not come here from California and spend 3 weeks out here for you to go to paper. We have to do this. We have to trust it, right? And sure enough, we moved everybody so
Yeah.
fast they'd never seen anything like it.
Well, I
But
mean, you
it was
look at
that
even
fear.
from the game industry, going from tokens and tickets
Yeah.
to cards. I mean, not only is it an improved system, but think of the data that you're collecting that you never
Yes.
had all those years. I mean, not only just on the games operations, but just on how people are using them, and information that you can market to. I mean, again, what's available today to help a business grow and do well is incredible.
And make better decisions, because my whole
Yep.
point in saying that is, for
Yeah.
him, going back to paper, it's what he knew. It was the feeling
Oh,
that he had. Like, he had this feeling that we weren't going to be able to do it.
absolutely.
And granted, that was a different problem, but I think still
Well,
today,
no one likes change.
so many, there's that. And I think some attractions are still going off of feeling rather than
Yeah.
data. And there is so many places that we can get data, including like utilizing guest feedback. And that's actually a question that I have for you, for the audience, what is the best way to utilize guest feedback to continuously improve hospitality and the guest experience?
Well, I mean, I think, I mean, when we ran, we started basics when we used to do surveys when people were leaving, I mean, to capture, things we were trying to figure out. Obviously, now there's online surveys and kiosks that you can set up to ask, get the questions that you want. But I mean, that data is crucial. I mean, even back when I did my Halloween theme park, we handed out surveys to every guest leaving. And, now you can interact, you can give play cards and things to get them, encourage them to answer. But I mean, nothing's better than guest feedback because they're coming from a live experience, and again, you've got to do a fair amount of it to make sure you're getting the correct information, because obviously people tend to speak more when they've had a bad experience when they do than they have
Yeah,
when they have a good experience. So you have to keep that in mind, but that doesn't mean you should ignore it either. I mean, again,
right.
with everyone that says something bad, there is truth to something. They didn't get feeling that way there was a reason. So it's always good to check it out. Doesn't necessarily mean it's correct, because some people, which is amazing to believe in an industry of fun, some people just don't seem to want to have it. But most of the time, if someone's giving you some feedback that's negative, there's usually some element that got it to that direction.
Or at least that you could take and
It's
you know
always, yeah,
yeah,
it's always valuable. And anyway, take it as informative information and utilize it to make your operation better, whatever it is.
yeah, when you know better, you do better. And I think, like you said, there are small nuggets of there's little nuggets of
Yep.
truth to everything that we see and hear from the guests,
Right.
that are explaining the experience. But also, I think there's a certain level of expectation that people have today too,
It's
right?
yeah, it's
And
high.
it's knowing who your audience is or who your ideal customer is,
Right.
because I think depending on the attraction, that might vary based on some things, right? I've got a little train museum that we just love. In fact, I think you should go visit them. They're amazing. It's like, I think it's the world's largest train
We haven't got to Denver yet, so we'll have to
exhibit.
make sure.
But what I love about them is they know that their ideal customer are train enthusiasts, right?
Right.
And that could be, I mean, that demographic varies. It goes from old to young, and of course, I mean, I actually, because we have a lot of trains here in Denver. um the kids just love seeing it. I have my family in town, they love seeing the
Yeah,
trains, so I understand that there are people who just are also gravitating towards experiences that provide value to them because it's something that they love, right?
exactly. Yep.
I mean, that's a Disney adult idea, right?
There's
Out there. Just
there's a lot of those, and I mean, it's evolving. I mean, the challenge is that just there's more and more. I think a lot of people are finding ways to bringing attractions in. I mean, obviously, you see that in bars left and right now, you know between axe throwing and mini golf and all those attractions they're bringing into their environment to create an experience besides just the food and beverage they've been serving prior to. And
Yeah,
like I said, because people are expecting more.
yeah. Actually, last year at the IAPA summit, we or at the IAPA FEC summit. Were you
Hmm.
there in
Um,
Nashville?
I was not.
They took us to this really, when we started to talk about the wide range of attractions out there, they took us to a curling.
Oh,
I
sure.
don't know much about the game, I don't, or how to play it. I just, they had this amazing restaurant, some
Since
bowling
we're in
alleys.
Minnesota, yeah, we're well aware of curling.
Yeah, but it was just like, to me, blew my mind, because
Yeah.
here you're taking, just like pickleball,
Yep.
something that people love, an experience that people love, and you're turning this into something that they have access to. We just, here in Denver, we got the pickleball pub,
Yep. Oh,
right?
there's no shortage of pickleball opportunities today.
I mean, I don't know. I don't play. I played with the kids, but they, for some reason, I keep being told that I am not an athlete. So I guess
Well,
that
then
means I'm not
pickleball is
very good.
perfect. That's a social game. It's good for
Right.
those that are in between. But even though there is a competitive element to it, but yeah, it is. I mean, again, it's obviously if you've been as long as I have in this industry, you see a lot of trends change and come and go, and like I said, that's why I said it's such an exciting industry, because there's just so much new happening all the time. While there's staples, there's still skee ball, but there's just so many new things that have come along. It's a great balance in what makes the industry so much fun.
Well, and I think you really you mentioned something just now that I think is really important is the social aspect of what we do.
Yep.
And before we wrap up, I'm just curious, uh, speaking of the social aspect and all of the many aspects of what we have to take into consideration to ensure that attractions are successful, you know, what are some final thoughts that you have with regards to attractions creating the most enjoyable and memorable experiences? Is there one key thing that you or key takeaway that you hope that attractions here today?
I mean, I don't think, I mean, obviously, like you said, social gamification is a huge, place where people going and bringing, like you said, from darts to axe throwing to, mini golf to, obviously bowling to new degrees. And it's happening in a lot of, taking a lot of traction along those lines. But really, again, I think at the end of the day, um, it comes back. I hate to say it, it still comes back to people. I mean,
Yeah,
if you keep a clean facility and you train your staff well, and your guests are already coming in with excitement about what they're going to experience. So if you deliver on what that and the operation element with that, you're going to succeed because you're going to provide a great experience and people are going to come back. But you have to deliver on the whole package. You got to keep your place up. You got to make sure your staff is well trained, and then as long as your attractions are in good working order, again, you're going to leave someone with a great experience, and whatever elements you're putting together, because there are so many ways you can configure an entertainment center today in so many sizes and levels. But at the end of the day, if you aren't running a good operation with a good team, it's going to be hard to succeed because there are so many options.
yeah. Well, and I think that that's just in business in general.
Yep, agreed.
There is the work that we do, which is creating the experiences and the connections and all the things that attractions are providing to the guest experience. But then there is also the business side of
Right,
things, all of the parts of the business that we have to
right.
work on. And that is something that, I having visited hundreds of locations over the years, there were some that did it very, very well. And I think what you're saying is, they understand their mission and their vision and
Yep.
their values, and you see that in the team they have. And sometimes you see that that's not there, and that does have an impact on the experience for the patrons, right? The
Right.
guests that are showing
Well,
up.
and again, no matter what operation you have, you're going to have issues, and again, that can be solved so well with the team that you have, and make sure that again, it's creating something fantastic and unique and amazing is always going to get someone in one time because people want
Right.
to check out what's new. It's the element, especially in the the localized entertainment attractions that are more, they're not destination sites, they're location based sites. They need repeat business, and you have to deliver on to your community and get involved in that community and create a team that's going to get people that coming back again and again because they feel part of that family when they walk in the door.
Yeah. Well, so as we wrap up today, I have a question for you. And maybe you have a few, but what's your favorite location you visited so far? That's because I'm curious.
I don't know that I can say I have a favorite. I will say it in a different way. I think what made me appreciate what I'm doing most of all is I mean there are a lot of different versions of escape rooms, but and some I would probably don't call it that way. But we went in one day to three or maybe it was a few trips. This Museum of Intrigue and to Beat the Bomb, which I mentioned in Five Wits, and three completely different operations. And Museum of Intrigue used actors and they were crafted in this unique environment, very low technology, very immersive. And then you have Beat the Bomb, as I mentioned, this tech was there, not to a different degree, but the experience and walking away with that social element at the end was just memorable. And then you go to Five, which was literally like walking into a Disney experience in a mall. I mean, their technology was and delivery was over the top. And I guess what intrigued me is again, here's three different experiences, and I could be excited about each one, yet they were so completely different, but really the same types of experience. And I think that's what makes this so fun is that again, even if a place has a go-kart track or a laser tag or escape room and they have different similar types of attractions, every experience we go into a facility is different, and
Yeah.
that's what makes it exciting. I mean, and then again, then you get the unique ones. I mean, clearly, drive a tank was when you get to do some of those one of a kind, experience, or when you're driving construction equipment, or again, my favorite, the largest candy store. I mean, I could feel like I was a mini Willy Wonka walking into that place. I mean, those are ones that are fun just because they're so unique and out there. But again, everyone we go, I think what really drives it is hearing the story of the people that are there and the passion behind it and what they're bringing to their area.
Yeah, I don't disagree, and I appreciate you sharing those places that you visited that are super exciting and places that I would love to see. Um,
Well, again,
I
like I said, my little plug to have people go out and check them out. We visit a lot of places, and at our YouTube or Facebook, Fun Across America. Like I said, you hopefully you'll enjoy what you see.
Well, and that actually brought me to my next question: is how can people get a hold of you? Is
So
there what is the best way that they can follow you and
well, we are. I mean, again, our YouTube channel is probably where we list all the videos, but we did just launch our website, and it's a work in progress. But even funacrossamerica.com is we're going to have our blogs of the writings we do that I do in replay, and then we're having we'll have all the locations we go, plus hopefully many others. So it'll be a good capture of a lot of places around the country that people can visit.
that's awesome. And can you share some of the places you're going next, or is that top secret?
Well, well, we're heading to Arizona on Sunday, so we're hitting about I think 8 or 9 locations. Some unique, some Makudu's Island is there. I think Rush Extreme. We're actually going to Pop Stroke. We haven't been to Tiger Woods' little golf course yet. We're hitting Pecan Lake Entertainment, which is a very unique facility. So a few of the places that we're headed to, and then yeah, we're every month we're going to another new location, and we've got a lot of great steps set up for the rest of the summer into the fall.
That's amazing. And I have to tell you, because I went to IAPA's meetup this year
Yes.
at Summit One Vanderbilt in New York City.
Hmm.
If you guys get a chance to go there, that place blew my mind. But I think being up like almost 100 stories was
Yeah.
a huge part of the experience,
Well, I
right?
mean, we have. I mean, like I said, we're going to Texas. I think in October, and I mean, I look at all the places there. I mean, we could be a month in that town, and I mean, that's the thing where you go. There's
And hit
so many.
everybody.
There's just so many places, and I guess that's what makes it fun. I mean, we're never going to run out of places to go visit. That's for sure.
Well, you know what was interesting about that experience for me? Not just the experience, being there and seeing all the things that they did to have an immersive experience and
Yeah.
to have interactions with the guests. But the one thing that I will say that stood out to me the most was it really did make me fall in love with New York City. I
Mm.
didn't know that that was possible for
Yeah.
me. I mean, I'm from Los Angeles, live in
Yeah.
Denver. I love big cities, and that city is very overwhelming. New York City, I kind of describe when people ask me how I'm like everything's hard. Just getting
Uh-huh.
a bottle of water is hard because there's just so many people and so many things. But when you were up there, 100 feet above the city, and you could see just what man had made. That city is just man
Yeah.
made, and it's
Right.
majestic like the Rocky Mountains here. That blew my mind, and I think that is something that's really special that attractions are doing is showcasing who they are and what they are
Yeah.
and the type. And that reason that I asked the GM there what was the inspiration behind this, and they said, well, we just want everybody to love New York. And I'm like, well, you did that for me, right? Like I can't wait to go back there. But thank you for what you're doing to showcase the
Well,
attractions
I mean,
across this
I'd be
country.
remiss not to say. I mean, part of it is too. There's just so many great people in this industry. I mean, that's what the other thing that makes it fun. I've since I've entered it and been involved in so long, and I'm sure you know the same thing. I mean, the people I've met and the people I get to hang out with and call my friends. I mean, there's just so many wonderful people that are, that inspire me to get out there and do this because again, they're so passionate about the industry, and it keeps me excited along the way.
Yeah, I'm so glad. And I'm so glad. Thank you again for being an advocate for this industry, doing what you do, and giving a platform for attractions to be showcased in a way that, we wouldn't see if we didn't have you because you'd have to actually go to them. And
Yeah.
some of us don't have, I mean, I feel very lucky. I have the best job ever. I get to go visit attractions all over the
Right.
country, and my kids think I'm cool. But Barry, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you, and I
Well,
appreciate you sharing your
it,
insights
it
with
was
our
a
audience.
pleasure, and appreciate it. And keep doing what you're doing. I enjoy watching as well. So it's always fun to see, the people you're interviewing as well along the way.
I so appreciate you. Well, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks.
Well, you guys, if you enjoyed this conversation that we had, Barry, isn't he great? And what they're doing at Fun Across America, please do check that out, because it's really, the YouTube page is really, really cool. And they're showcasing some really neat things that attractions are doing. And you can see that on their YouTube page. And I also, before I leave you, I just want to share some information with you, and that is how you can be a guest on this show, because there are things that many of you are doing that are supporting this industry and helping attractions do what they do best. And I know that if you have those expertise that you can share, we can continue to move this industry forward, watch it grow, and even just, I mean, I'm just baffled all the time when I hear the different types of attractions and all the amazing creativity that's happening in this industry. And I think more so now than ever, we're able to share that with each other. And I just hope that if you have information that you can share, because my promise is always to those of you, the audience that's listening, is if I don't have the answers that you need in order to achieve the things that you want to achieve with your attraction, that I'm going to help you find the people who do, people like Barry, who are doing amazing things and supporting you. So please scan the QR code or send me a message. You just got to send me a DM, Sondra Shannon on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect with you and love to share what you're doing with this great industry of ours. Thank you for watching today. I hope you have a great week, and stay tuned for next week. I mean, I say this almost every show, but I'm promising an incredible lineup. And, I hope that you feel the same way as I do, because Barry was great. And we've got a great lineup happening over the next few weeks. So please stay tuned, and hashtag replay if you're watching us on replay, so we know you were here. Take care. Have a great week.